If what you do is what you say, that's a tough approach. You know that. That is a tough
I don't want to
approach.
lose $300 billion a year to China when we can't afford to build schools for our children, when we can't afford to build highways, when we can't afford to build railways, when we can't afford to build bridges. I mean, I don't want to build Bill. It's very simple. I want money to be invested in jobs and in this country. I don't want to rebuild China. I want to rebuild the United States.
All right. Obamacare, big program.
It's a disaster.
Why is it a disaster?
Well, I'll tell you, I graduated from a great school, the Wharton School of Finance, and I have 6 friends, and they have companies. They are medium-sized and smaller companies, but they've always made a nice living. The smart guys always were smart guys. Of the 6, 3 of them recently told me they're going to have to close their companies because Obamacare is so expensive. Now, what do I know? All I know is these are really smart guys that operate mid-sized to small companies. They've always done a good job, employ lots of people, et cetera, et cetera. 3 of them are going to close their companies because of Obamacare. 3 of them are not happy about it, but they think they can get by. That's all I have to hear.
Do you believe the federal government has an obligation, a moral obligation, to provide people who can't afford health insurance with health insurance?
I certainly would like to see, I have a big heart. I really do, despite what you may think. And I have a great, big, fat, beautiful heart. And when people are in trouble, I like to help them out. What I don't like seeing is South Korea. We have thousands of troops in South Korea. We're protecting them from North Korea. We're sending ships. We're doing everything. You know what happens? They give us nothing. Saudi Arabia, we're protecting them. Wait a minute. If we ever ran our country properly,
then we'd have money to do that?
We would have so much money, it would be coming out of your ears.
But do we have a moral obligation to give people health care who can't afford it or just won't bother?
We have a moral obligation to help people. I really believe that. I believe that strongly, and not everybody does.
So there would be Trump care then?
Well, it would be a form of much better. As an example, I have a big company. When I buy health insurance, I can't go across state lines to buy it.
Yeah,
you know
that's
why?
Obvious, right.
Yeah, and I can make a better deal in New Jersey than I can in New York with a better company.
So you'd get
and yet
free
I
competition.
Can't go. Number one, anywhere in the United States has to be a strong company. But we should be able to go out and price it privately. I believe in the private, but I don't want to be stuck with 1 or 2 companies in New York. I should be able to go to Wisconsin. I should be able to go to Iowa. If I want to buy health care for my people, as long as it's a strong company, I should be able to bid it out. You would save so much money. But these brilliant politicians don't allow that to happen. We can't go across state lines.
No, I know,
you tell me
crazy.
why.
All right.
Well, that would be a big thing right there.
One of the reasons the recession hit us so hard is because weasels on Wall Street ginned up these real estate derivatives. You're a real estate guy. Would you crack down on Wall Street? Would you have more regulations on these people, more rules they have to follow over there?
I would not do that. I grew up and I went to school with many of these people. And they're very smart. And you'll come up with rules and they find ways to go around the rules.
Do you let them do whatever they want?
What you are doing, Bill, is you're making it so tough for our companies and our Wall Street people, let's use the word nicely, our Wall Street people to compete with the rest of the world. Because you have guys in London, guys in Switzerland, guys in Hong Kong that are giving very, very good deals, and they don't have the kind of regulation that we have here.
So
I'm not a big regulation person.
Okay, but
by the way, people find their ways around regulation, Bill, very easily. These are super geniuses.
But these guys hurt the economy with these derivatives. You know they did.
Well, a lot of things hurt the economy. I think just as much as that was oil at $150 a barrel hurt the economy. To me, that's hurting the economy.
The derivatives really doing. All right, now you have a situation where the unions, are being attacked by some governors because the public service unions, tremendous perks. Okay. You use union labor.
I do.
What do you think about the unions?
I have a great relationship with unions. I understand what's happening, let's say, in Wisconsin. I understand what's happening.
Is Walker right in Wisconsin?
I think that he is maybe right for his state. I think it doesn't necessarily apply to all states. I've had a great relationship over the years with unions. We've had collective bargaining. I've become very wealthy. I've dealt with unions because, as you know, New York is largely unions. You're dealing with them. I have great friends that are in unions and heads of unions. So I haven't had the same difficulty and problem. But I think you have to do what's right for your area. I respect him. He's tough.
Walker,
he's unyielding, yes. He's unyielding. And maybe sometimes too unyielding and maybe not too unyielding. He wants Wisconsin to come back. He wants to have a great balanced budget. So I understand what he's doing.
All right. Do you support what he's doing? Are the unions in the public sector strangling the states so that they are in debt and in danger of default.
Well, certainly the unions, some unions have taken advantage. If you look at what the unions did to General Motors, if you look at what and there have also been some very bad decisions from management. But certainly some unions have done a big number on companies and on states. No question about that.
All right. GE pays no taxes to the federal government. You see my report the other day,
I saw
General?
your report.
Okay,
I saw a
no
lot of
tax,
reports.
zero, nothing.
Not so good.
What do you do?
Well, you change the tax code so
How?
that people have to pay something. They have to at least pay. Now, it was interesting that some companies paid 40%.
Well, tell me what
impressed.
you do to make GE and other companies that don't pay anything because they park money offshore.
The problem with the tax code is it's so complicated.
Right.
As an example, me, I have a big company. I pay lawyers millions of dollars a year, millions, over a tax code. I think that you have to simplify it, and people should
How?
pay a fair amount of tax.
What's fair?
Without a tax increase. Well, whatever's fair.
You want
is
flat
fair.
tax? What do you
but
want?
you have companies. Some were paying 40%, some were paying nothing.
But tell me what
And by
you
the way,
want.
some of the ones that were paying nothing were doing better than the ones paying 40%.
Fine, but if you're president, you're not going to be able to do it on rhetoric. You're going to have to say, this is a fair tax code. How much should I pay? I make a lot of money, not nearly what you make, but how much should I pay in tax to the federal government? What percentage of my income?
I think we need a tax system.
Well, tell me how much I should pay.
I can't do that right
Why?
now, Bill. Bill, I'd like you to pay 100% because you have plenty of money.
Okay.
You should pay
So
everything.
just give everything away.
You should pay everything.
All
As
right,
far
so
as
that-
just you, but you should be the only one in the country.
But don't
Look,
you see that people are going to want you as a candidate for president to tell them how much they should pay, how much corporations
You have
should
to look
pay?
at the deficits, and I will tell you,
It's
if,
14
if I ever
trillion.
decide to run, it's 14 trillion, and it's increasing rapidly.
Correct.
If I ever decide to run,
Yeah.
and I may, and I'll make that decision before June, we're not going to have the kind of problems that we have right now because I won't be taken advantage of by the rest of the world. We are a whipping post for the
I got
world.
it. All right.
And Bill,
But you're going to have to come up with some kind of tax code.
Believe me, there won't be so much tax necessary as there is right now because we are a whipping post. We are being ripped off by the rest of the world to the tune of trillions. By the way, trillions of dollars. I'm not talking about the old word billions. I'm talking about the new word trillions.
Okay. Illegal immigration. How are we going to stop that?
Well, you either have a country or you don't. You either have a line and a boundary or you don't. Something has to be done.
What? Tell me what you're
Well,
going
you
to do
have
to
to stop people.
Stop
Look.
millions coming over. What are you going to do? Militarize the border?
It's a very easy and quick solution, and a lot of people would like to see it. It's a very, very strong solution, but you either have a country with a line or you don't have a country, and right now we don't have a country.
Okay, what's the easy solution? Go.
Well, you put soldiers on that line.
You militarize it.
Do you have a choice?
No, I don't
They're
think so.
coming
I've been
over.
calling for that for 10 years.
They're coming over and they're climbing over a fence and there's nobody within 10 miles and
All
they
right,
walk
so you
in and
militarize the border, you
they
make it
get a
very
job,
difficult.
and they're selling drugs all over the
Yeah,
place.
you stop the narcotics
and they're
along
killing
with the
people all
running
over the place and we're not doing anything about it.
Okay. Now, the 15 million illegal aliens already in the United States. What do you do with them?
Well, you know, I have a real interesting situation going. I have friends that want to get, and they think I have like this great influence, okay? They're wrong, but they think I have tremendous power and tremendous, so they call me. And they have PhDs from Europe, and they have PhDs from Asia, physicists, doctors, brilliant people, great people. They want me to help them get a green card, and you can't get it. And yet, if you come in from someplace, you don't have a job, you never went to school, you come into the country and automatically you're made a citizen. And we ought to sort of have a merit system. We want to get some great people in this country. If you're great, if you've gone to school in the finest school in Europe and you have the highest marks in the finest school, you can't come into this country. And I'm telling you,
So
excuse me, Bill, and I'm talking about calling the biggest senator, the biggest congressman, the most powerful people, they can't do it.
Okay, so
It's
you
pretty
change
sad.
the legal immigration system, and I think
I would
everybody would agree
certainly
with
change
that.
it.
Well, what
And
do
you know what I want in this
do-
country? I want people to come into this country that are going to be productive. I want productive
Okay,
people in
we
this
got it.
country. Well,
What do you?
I hope you get it.
I get it. I'm slow, but I do pick it up.
Okay.
What do you do with the 15 million here? Do you give them a pathway to citizenship, or do you put them on a bus and drive them out of here?
I think right now you're going to have to do something, and, you know, it's hard to generalize, but you're going to have to look at the individual people, see how they've done, see how productive they've been, see what
And
their
then make
references
a
are,
decision.
and then make a decision.
All right, on a case by case, it's going to take a long time and a lot of people.
But you know, you have some great productive people that came in.
doubt.
And then you have some total disasters that probably should be in prison.
Okay. real quick, social issues, abortion.
Right.
You favor it?
No, as you know, I'm pro-life.
Okay, so you're pro-life on abortion. Would you outlaw abortion?
Well, I'd go a pretty strong step. Something I don't like. I used to not be pro-life. I've become pro-life. I've seen friends that had children that they didn't want, and now they have children and they're the apple of the eye. So I've really changed my views over the years, but I am pro-life. I would really, I'm forming an opinion. I'm forming a very strong opinion, but I'll let you know in about 3 or 4 weeks if I decide to.
All right. Gay marriage. Favor it?
I'm against it.
Why?
I just don't feel good about it. I don't feel right about it. I'm against it. And I take a lot of heat because I come from New York. You know, for New York, it's like, how can you be against gay marriage? But I'm opposed to gay marriage.
They say, the gays, that this violates their rights, that they are American citizens and they should have a right to live the same way heterosexuals live. And you say?
Well, I think it's a tough situation. And I'll tell you what I say. I say that we have other problems. We have other problems in this country. And I don't think a president should be elected on gay marriage or not gay marriage, because we have some very big problems. Based on everything I see, Obama, who said basically the same thing as I do, I think he's going to come out in favor of gay marriage.
Okay,
and
but you remain opposed?
I am opposed, yes.
All right. You saw me on The View with the ladies walking out?
Yes, I did.
But they didn't walk out on you when you brought up the birth certificate when they should have. That was worse than what I did. Muslim problem in the world. Is there a Muslim problem?
Well, let me explain one
world?
thing. I don't think it was worse. I'm just saying to Obama, let me see your birth certificate.
Okay, now we'll get to that in a minute.
I don't know what the big deal was.
Well, Whoopi.
Well, Whoopi took it a little hard. Whoopi's a friend of mine. I was in her movie and lots of other things. But, you know, it's one of those things. Go ahead.
Is there a Muslim problem in the world?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I don't notice Swedish people knocking down the World Trade Center. There certainly is. And I came out very strongly against the mosque being built virtually across the street.
And so did I. You and I were on the same page. Okay. However, Muslim Americans say, hey, you're picking on us.
No, nobody's picking. The fact is, it was so insensitive when they announced the mosque in that location. Don't forget, that's my territory, Manhattan real estate. When they announced the mosque in that location, I couldn't believe it. You know, you have people, 3,000 people died, and you have all those parents and sisters and brothers and wives. And I mean, just saying, I can't believe it. The World Trade Center came down. My loved one, more than anybody in the world, I love this person, dead, and now they're building a mosque across it?
I thought it was the same way.
I think it's very insensitive, and I think
But you do believe, overall, there is a Muslim problem in the world?
Well, there is a Muslim problem, absolutely. You just have to turn on your television set.
And do you think it encompasses all Muslims?
No, and that's the sad part about life, because you have fabulous Muslims. I know many Muslims, and they're fabulous people. They're smart, they're industrious, they're great. Unfortunately, at this moment in time, there is a Muslim problem in the world. And by the way, and you know it, and I know it, and some people don't like saying it because they think it's not politically correct.
Whoopi and Joy will walk off on me. But when I say there's a Muslim problem in the world, I basically say, why don't the good Muslims, that I believe outnumber the bad Muslims probably 8 or 9 to 1,
or more,
why don't they, the Muslim community throughout the world, speak out more forcefully against the jihadists?
Well, there's something out there that brings a level of hostility that I've never seen in any religion. I mean, you can say what you want about the Quran, you can say what you want. There's something there. There is tremendous hatred, and tremendous hatred of us. I look at Iraq. I was watching the other day. You know, we've spent all this money and all those lives in Iraq. They hate us. They hate us. They can't get rid of us fast enough. And by the way, as soon as they leave, you know, as soon as we leave, Iran is going to take over the oil. You know,
we know there's a big problem. We'll get to foreign in a minute. Okay. Now, when you were on The View and they didn't walk out, which they should have, because they walked out on me and they should have stayed, you were way, way worse than I was on that View. You were hammering the birth certificate. Now, we very early on did an investigation about Barack Obama's birth certificate. And what the Factor found out was there were 2 announcements the week he was born in both Honolulu newspapers saying that he was born. Okay? That is impossible. That is impossible to make happen if he had not been born in the hospital. So therefore, I just put it to bed. I said he was born in Honolulu. All right. The 2 newspapers documented it. His mother was a hippie. His father was a guy from Kenya who split. There couldn't have been a sophisticated, what is he, baby Jesus? There was a sophisticated conspiracy to smuggle this baby back into the country. So I just dismissed it. But you made a big deal out of it.
Bill, I grew up with Wall Street geniuses. What they do in terms of fraud and how they change documents. And I'll tell you something, if you notice, those dates were 3 days later. And here's what I ask people. Who puts announcements? Here, two poor people, a man and a woman with no money. They have a baby. There's announcements in the newspaper.
The grandparents did it.
The grandparents. Nelson Rockefeller doesn't put announcements.
Sure, there are birth announcements all the time.
I've never seen one. Okay?
Really?
No, I've never seen one. I've never seen one.
But why is this important to you?
Because if you are going to be the president of the United States, you have to be born in this country. And there is a doubt as to whether or not he was born.
Do you really feel there's a doubt?
You know, I started off by saying, and I always do, and I did on The View, I'm a very smart guy. I went to the best college. I had good marks. I was a very smart guy, good student, all that stuff, okay? Because what they do to the birthers, which is a term I hate, because a lot of these birthers are just really quality people that just want the truth. What they do to the birthers is unbelievable, to a point where people are afraid to talk about this subject. They're afraid to confront you or anybody about this subject.
Do you think it's an important subject?
Listen. I have a birth certificate. Right. I have my birth certificate. And in fact, they said the one I gave yesterday wasn't good enough. So I actually got the one from the health department, which is the perfect one, okay? Because they were saying, oh, the one I gave yesterday wasn't good enough, so I got the other one. People have birth certificates. He doesn't have a birth certificate. Now, he may have one, but there's something on that birth, maybe religion, maybe it says he's a Muslim. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want that, or he may not have one. But I will tell you this. If he wasn't born in this country, it's one of the great scams of all time.
Absolutely, but I don't think that's the case.
Well, I mean, you don't, but I'm starting to think.
I don't think you believe that either. I think it's provocative.
2 weeks ago,
you get a lot of attention raising the question, but I don't think you believe it.
2 weeks ago, I felt like probably he was born in the country. Today, it's possibly. I'm telling you, it's changed. I've seen too many things.
Why did Whoopi Goldberg get so angry about you?
I don't know. And then she
Didn't you ask her?
Then she said to me, and she likes me. She said, Donald, I love you. But she actually said, if it were a white man. Now, I know they asked for Bush's birth certificate. I know for a fact they asked for John McCain's birth certificate.
So why did she make it racial?
I don't know. She brought race into
it.
She brings race into it. What can I tell you?
You don't know why?
She started up by saying, I love you, and then she brought race into it. You tell me what that means.
I don't know.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Libya. The Libyan action is being explained by President Obama, as you know, as a humanitarian act to stop a slaughter, which we all believe would have happened.
Which is fine.
Okay. Do you support it?
I support stopping that kind of a slaughter. The problem is, where do you stop? You've got other countries that are doing worse than this guy ever dreamed of. And we're not doing anything.
We have other countries like Darfur.
Well, we're not doing anything, though. You know, the one thing I would say, Bill,
go ahead.
And I've never said this before. This is the first on your show. Good luck with it. Run with it. In the old days, when you had wars, you win, right? You win. To the victor belong the spoils. So when we go to Iraq, we spend $1.4 trillion so far, and thousands of lives are lost, right? And not to mention all the poor guys and gals with one arm and no arm and all the problems,
right? Right.
And we're going to leave, and as sure as you're sitting there, Iran is going to come over, take over not only Iraq, but perhaps more importantly to them, take over the second biggest oil fields in the world, right? And I like the old system better. You win a war, you stay there, and you keep the oil. And, you know, then those people will not have died in vain. Forget the money we spend. They will not have died in vain. You have the second largest oil fields in the world. Now, they're not going to come as long as we're there, but 15 minutes after we leave, Iran is going to go into Iraq.
And what do you do to Iran if that happens, if you're president?
Nobody's going to have enough heart to want to go back.
No, but you're going to be president.
Stay.
You're going to be in the office. Iran comes in, tries to take the oil. What do?
You stay and you keep the oil. If Iran is going to take over the oil, we stay and we keep the oil.
All right, but if they're out of there, which they will be, in 12 they're going to be out of there. So say you win the presidency.
We shouldn't be out of there. What we should do is take over the oil.
Wouldn't Obama's going to pull them?
Bill,
there's going to be about 20,000 left.
As sure as you're sitting there, Iran, 2 minutes after we leave, Iran is going to come in and take over the oil.
But what do you do about it?
You stay and protect the oil, and you take the oil, and you take whatever's necessary for them, and you take what's necessary for us, and we pay ourselves back $1.5 trillion or more. We take care of Britain, you take care of other countries that helped us, and we don't be so stupid. You know, we're the only country, if you look at wars over the years, and I study wars, okay, my whole life is a war. You look at wars over the years, a country goes in, they conquer, and they stay. We go in, We conquer, and then we leave, and we hand it to people that we don't even know. Now, who are the people that are going to be running Iraq? The person that hates the United States the most will be running Iraq, and will be living with, like, whether it's Mubarak or anybody else, where they have billions of dollars. It's horrible what's going on. So, in a nutshell, we go in, we take over the second largest oil fields, and we stay.
So I don't want to
take
over the Iraqi
Well, I'm not going to hand it back to Iran. That I can tell. Don't smile.
I'm just saying,
listen,
look, if you're going to go with China and you're going to threaten them,
I'm not
and then you're going to threaten OPEC.
I'm not threatening China.
25%
I'm saying to China that unless you behave, that unless
and then if you're going to go into the Iraq oil fields and take them over, going to be a lot of blowback.
Between China, OPEC is the worst abuser. China's the second worst abuser. China and OPEC are destroying our country. We will soon not have a great country. We will soon be second to China by a long way. In 10 years to 12 years, we will be a distant second to China. And if I would have said that 5 years ago, people would have laughed.
Okay. Iran's trying to get a nuke. You going to stop them if you're president?
I wouldn't let them have a nuke.
Now, how'd you stop it?
I would do what I had to do.
Which is?
They will not have a nuke.
What do you mean? Level them?
I will stop. They will not have a nuke. They will not have a nuke.
All right. So now we got China mad at us, OPEC,
you know, when they had the
Iraq, and Iran.
And you know what's going to happen?
Yeah.
I'll have better relationships than our weak president has right now. Look, our weak president that kisses everybody's ass is in more wars than I've ever seen.
Okay.
Now he's in Libya. He's in Afghanistan. He's in Iraq. Nobody respects us, and nobody respects
nuke,
and nobody respects our leadership.
Okay, no nuke for Iran.
I mean, why? Can I do worse? You're talking about me like I'm a warmonger.
I'm not talking. I'm just asking the question.
This guy got the Nobel Peace Prize, and every time I look, he's going into another country.
Afghanistan.
You know the amazing thing about Libya of all? You have France leading the way.
Yeah, right.
I mean, to me, that's our great French leaders.
Well, they're afraid of
you know the other amazing thing? The Arab League. You know what the Arab League is? Saudi Arabia and a couple of others of the richest nations in the world. They said, we want you to go into Libya. We don't like Gaddafi. Get rid of Gaddafi. Why don't they pay for this? Why aren't they paying?
I'm with you on that. Let's charge them.
And by the way, just to finish off on China, if China gets its oil from Libya, and you know, by far the biggest customer is China, why aren't they contributing to this fight in Libya?
Well, they like Gaddafi. Chinese like Gaddafi.
Excuse me. Why
would they fight him? They like him.
I don't know if they like him or don't like him.
No, they
but
voted
that's where they get the oil.
They didn't want him.
Why aren't they doing something having to do with Libya?
Because they like him.
Well, they're going to get their oil from there anyway, whoever it is.
Well,
and that's the other thing you have to worry about Libya. I hear, what do I know? But I hear that the so-called rebels, we make them look like heroes, right? Yeah. I hear they're very inspired by Iran and by Al-Qaeda. So how about we make it possible for them to take over Gaddafi and Libya, and then at the end of the whole process, they turn out to be worse. And that could happen. Mark my words.
Okay. Afghanistan. You stay there if you're president? You keep troops there?
Well, the problem you have is there you don't have oil. You have drugs, but you don't have oil. And I guess probably for them, drugs are almost the same thing. But you don't have oil. I am the strongest military person, and if I ever ran and won, I would be the strongest military president ever. I believe in I would not be cutting the budget. I'd be coming out with the best weapons ever, all right? But with Afghanistan, I want to build our country. You know, in Afghanistan, they build a road. They build, at the end of this beautiful road, they build a school. They blow up the school, they blow up the road, we then start all over again. And in New Orleans and in Alabama, we can't build schools.
Okay.
I want to rebuild the United States, just like I rebuilt the Woolman skating rink. We had a Woolman skating rink. You know what?
I know, we know the story.
Okay, well, no, not everybody. It took the city of New York 8 years. They couldn't build it. I did it in 3 months for 1/10 the cost. Okay?
All right. And you did it by yourself. There was nobody out there with you.
I did it by myself.
Right. So,
okay.
Do you pull out of Afghanistan?
By the way, that's often used. It's in all the textbooks, the Woolman skating rink, what I did. And the fact is, it shows private industry, private enterprise can do it better than government.
There's no doubt about that.
8 years, $21 million. I did it in 3 months for $1.8 million.
Do you pull out of Afghanistan and let the Taliban take over?
I don't know that Afghanistan is as much of a problem as Pakistan, because everyone's telling me they're all in Pakistan. They're not in Afghanistan.
But they're going to come back if the U.S.
Well, they may. I mean, they may. That's the other thing. Pakistan. If Osama bin Laden is in Pakistan Why are we paying them hundreds of billions of dollars a year? Now, what I would say, and don't get scared, I want to get along. Fellas, I love you. Let's go have a drink. But you're not getting money. We want Osama bin Laden. Because if you don't give us Osama bin Laden, we're just not giving you your hundreds of billions of dollars.
I've been calling for tougher
and you know what's going to
Pakistan
happen?
stuff.
You have a 6'6" Arab, 6'6", who's on a dialysis machine, supposedly. And we can't find him? Now, if you tell me that the leaders of Pakistan don't know where a 6'6" guy is standing, you're wrong, okay? You're wrong.
We know where he is.
So now what we said, well, you don't know, and I don't know, and I wish I did.
North
because,
Waziristan.
You know what?
Okay,
well, I hope you're right. But I'm sure if you said that, he's gone by now. Because, you know, one thing, he's a cunning character.
Yeah.
But here's what's not so cunning. We pay hundreds of billions of dollars a year to Pakistan. And if we said to them, sorry, folks, we can't do it. You have to give us Osama bin Laden. You know what? He'll be standing on the White House doorstep very quickly.
But what I'm
But
getting
we don't
from
have
you,
anybody that even thinks this way.
okay. What I'm getting from you, though, is you would withdraw U.S. troops out of Afghanistan.
Yes, I would.
Okay. And then the Taliban comes back because they would.
Well,
and they
reestablish. Anyway, because they're really in Pakistan.
Okay, but
I mean, are you a warmonger? Do you want to attack Pakistan
That's a
too?
short drive.
Bill, you're a warmonger.
No, but I'm just like, this is serious. So they come back and they reconstitute the Taliban government. Al-Qaeda has the sanctuaries it has before. Then you're going to have to go back and take care of them anyway.
I don't believe too much in the soldier concept other than I believe in air power. And you're sort of seeing that over in Libya. You can knock the hell out of them without losing soldiers and losing lives.
Kill a lot of
arms
civilians
and
though.
legs.
Kill a lot of civilians.
No, not necessarily. If you have good intelligence, you know, intelligence is the thing that this country is lacking.
All right,
especially from its leadership.
Afghanistan, you're out. All right, now final question.
When you say Afghanistan, I'm out. I am, as I said, the most militaristic person you'll ever find. I'm much more so than anybody. But you have to know what to do. And I want to rebuild our military, and I also want to rebuild the United States. I'm tired of seeing China and Saudi Arabia and all of these countries, South Korea, where we're protecting them and they're making hundreds of billions of dollars of profit on us, and we protect them and they don't pay anything. I'm tired of seeing it. I want to rebuild the United States so that we start looking like what China's doing. You go to China, you go to Hong Kong, there's a crane on every corner. The place is boomtown. You go to our cities, the roads are decaying. It's honestly, Bill, it's very, very sad. We're like a third world nation. You land at LaGuardia Airport. You come out of one of these great brand new Chinese airports, the Qatar airport, most gorgeous airport I've ever seen. You land at LaGuardia, it's like we're from a third world nation. They have a sign, welcome to New York. It's made out of 2x4s that are there for 25 years. You know what I'm talking about, on the grass, and they're rotted. This is what we have.
All right.
I want to rebuild this country, and I want to create jobs in this country.
I got it. Do you have any idea what you're getting into if you do run for president? You're going to have to go to Iowa and New Hampshire in the winter.
I love the people in Iowa. I love the people in New Hampshire.
Do you know where Iowa is?
Absolutely.
You know, there's no golf courses there.
I know. I almost bought one in Iowa, actually.
Of course. So you're willing to slog it through.
Yeah.
You're willing to wear the earmuffs, go up to New Hampshire.
Do I love it? Is that different than Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, it's different.
Would you say in Palm Beach? Okay. But you know what? I love this country. If I can do something to help this country, and when I see the gross incompetence that we have running this country, I cannot believe it, okay? I cannot believe it.
Who could be